Dear Lord, we just thank you for today. We ask that you would guide us and lead us in the decisions for the district. I pray that you would just watch over all our staff and students throughout the school year. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Anybody? Nobody's okay. All right. New business. Does anybody have any questions on the consent agenda to approve the meetings, the minutes for the 7th and the 19th meetings? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion by Doug. Do I have a second? Second. Second by Mike. All in favor? All in favor, none opposed, motion carries. All right, on to the regular agenda. All right, consider order authorizing the issuance of unlimited tax school building bonds. Mr. Hine.
This is Jason Hughes with Hilltop Securities, and he's going to have a presentation for you.
For what it's worth, I brought mine too, so we'll see if I can make it through without them. But President, board members, great to be back here. In front of you tonight again, Jason Hughes with Hilltop Securities. I was your financial advisor on the Series 2014 bonds, and so it's nice to come back here to stand for the bridge and stand before you tonight. You should have a summary of the sale that we undertook this morning. And so let me kind of go through very quickly what typically happens. So usually the underwriter, which is the entity that's charged with going out and selling the bonds, will go out the week before and they'll solicit and kind of get ideas of what the interest rates are going to look like based on the current market environment at that time. Then typically the day before they'll go out and they'll actually pre-market, kind of get initial indications of interest. And then on the day of pricing, which again was today, they'll go out and they'll actually offer those bonds for sale. And so kind of three different ways that can go. A lot of times they'll go, the market's not great, they don't get a ton of orders. They may come back after that order period and say, you know what, market wasn't great. We're going to raise yields or raise interest rates up and try and get more people to come in, more investors to come in and buy those bonds. So that's one. The other thing that they can do is come back and say, you know what, we got just enough orders, so we're going to leave the rates where they are. We're going to give you what's called a bid to underwrite, which is subject to your approval, and you go from there. And then the third thing that can happen is they can actually say, you know what, we went out, we offered the bonds, and we got more orders than we have bonds. And because of that, what we're going to do are lower the yields. And the nice thing is, the third thing is what happened today. So they actually went out, we were selling approximately 6.5 million. We had more orders than we had bonds, and so because of that, again, they were able to lower the interest rate. And that's what you have in front of you for your approval tonight. One of the things that if you look at this summary on that front page that we did go and do that was a little bit different from 2014, is we went and we got a credit rating. So S&P, which is a third-party credit rating provider, we had a call with them, went through everything on the operations side, on the finance side. They assigned an A credit rating, which is very high, especially for a district your size, which is good. As that rating goes up, the interest rate goes down. So that's a nice thing. The other thing is we applied for and we received the Texas PSF guarantee. And it's the AAA, as you can see on that little chart. AAA credit rating, highest you can get, which further lowers it down. So you get the lowest interest rate possible. So very, very happy with that. So if you turn to the second page, what we're asking for your approval tonight is $6,470,000. What your citizens voted was $6.5 million. The bonds, whenever we sold them today, they sold with a net premium. All that simply means is investors were willing to pay more than 100 cents on the dollar. That premium covers the cost of issuance. The balance of that premium gets deposited into the construction fund. So we're able to generate the full $6.5 million. So again, your citizens approved $6.5 million. $6.5 million is what we're going to deliver for project proceeds. So you get 100% bang for your buck, so to speak. You see there the final true interest cost, or the average rate, if you will, was just over 4%, so very happy with that. And then these are callable in 10 years. So again, just like we did in 2014, we made it callable. All that simply means that you as the district, in the future, if you decide either A, you have excess funds and you want to pay the bonds off early, you can do that. Or if interest rates are lower in the future, you can refinance it, just like you refinance your home mortgage. That's flexibility that the district maintains or retains. Said another way, an investor couldn't come back to you and say, you know what, I bought this bond 20 years out, I'd like to get paid now. They don't have that ability. This is solely you basically saying, we'd like to pay these bonds off, we'd like to refinance them, if you choose to do it. So again, that's that call date. And then the last thing on there is, assuming your approval tonight, we'll get everything signed as far as the documents. The Texas Attorney General's office reviews all public debt sales in the state of Texas. So what happens is your bond counsel will send all that documentation down there. AG reviews and approves it. That's roughly a 30-day process. That's why we're asking for your approval tonight. And as you can see, September 26th is when you get that full $6.5 million in construction funds to wherever you choose to park that money. On the bottom half there, as you can see, the sources and uses. Part amount of the bonds, as I said, $6.47 million. I talked a little bit about that bond premium. And then again, $6.5 million is what we will be depositing to the district's project fund. One thing I would point out, the underwriter's discount, the cost of issuance, which is just the cost to issue the bonds, those are all self-contained within the bond sale, right? Said another way, nothing's coming out of your general fund to pay for that. So that did cover all of that. And then fund the full $6.5 million. On the last page is the debt service. So again, as I said, you do have a Series 2014 bond outstanding. What we did is we effectively wrapped this debt service around it. And so what that allows us to do is kind of control that tax rate as much as possible while still maximizing and getting you that full $6.5 million that you need. So that is the summary of the sale. You should also have the rating report that S&P did. And again, want to thank Jason and Richard for the time they spent with the rating agency. They had both the rating call, they also had the underwriter's due diligence call, which is a lot of the same questions just from the underwriter's counsel, just like you have legal counsel, your bond counsel. The underwriters have a counsel, and so they go through, they have to make sure per securities law that they know the issuer, they've done their due diligence, and that the bonds are appropriate to go on sale, which they obviously were. So again, very happy with that. That's my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions or provide more detail as you like.
Anybody have any questions? No? Okay. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
All right. All right. Do we have a motion to approve authorizing the bond?
Need a recommendation. Yeah, we need a recommendation.
Recommendation.
Sure.
Just approve it.
I recommend order authorizing the issuance of the bonds. Is that good enough?
Yeah. Have a recommendation by Jason. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the order authorizing the bonds.
Motion by Rusty. Do I have a second? Second by Logan. All in favor? All in favor, none opposed, motion carries. All right, we're gonna take a timeout and sign
Yep.
some.
We're gonna do some signing real quick.
Okay, who do you need?
We're gonna need several people. Tanya has the,
Yeah. I know, where do you want to, do you just want me to take it there?
yeah, we can just go up there.
Because I can,
Yeah, you can get boss it.
Yeah. okay, come up here with me. Look over any of these. Okay. So authorized. So, yes.
That's be okay, that's us.
Okay.
So that's me.
That was the nice
I've never done a signature like that before.
Is this right back to in person?
that one.
Okay, see, my question was,
It's not on this one.
okay, so.
Where there's stuff to be
okay.
notarized, there's a yellow.
Okay, good, okay. Okay.
Nope, that one's not me.
Oh,
I'm
that's
not the president of the
Oh,
board.
okay, secretary and president.
And one thing I would say is unfortunately, there's numerous copies, so just make sure you look at that.
Okay.
There's typically like 6 to 7 pages on each, so. So way back whenever I first started, I was at a meeting out like El Rio, and I'd gone through a presentation on the bond sale and everything, and talked through it, and the board president finally looks up at me, he's like, I've got one question. I was like, yes, sir. He's like, am I gonna go to jail for signing this? I was like, no, sir, you're not. Okay, I'll sign it.
Nope, it's good.
Seven.
You put, he gave me directions. None.
None?
Nobody's absent, right? Yep, so none.
And then,
No, there were no nays, no abstains, so we're good. For them. So then, check. I don't know. Well, like I said, this said sealed too,
Okay.
so.
Okay.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Review it, I'll
Yeah.
review everything as you.
No? Oh, does it need to be blue?
That's the number sealed. Yeah, there's some.
Okay. I don't want to get him out of order for you.
Yeah, it's not quite as many signatures. Wear your wrist out.
Get your shot done.
Not yet, it's getting closer. Got all the walls out, some of the electrical now. Got a ways to go yet.
Oh, is it all Richard? It's not on me.
Did he get one? Is already? Yeah. This is just a couple. Oh, we like that with There you go. They just stand alive. Stand
Yep, every signature Richard's different.
Make it look good.
Yeah, me too. Not wanting to see
Got the wrong one.
Where all of it. Make it easier. We'll do something else for a little bit.
She had the wrong seal, she had to go.
Oh,
get
okay.
Her other one.
No problem.
Thank you.
Appreciate what you done.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. See you. I'll see you in Austin.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Billy? Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Richard, great to see you. Thank you so much.
We all
This is
just-
Jeff. And you don't have to tell me tonight. Did you tell me where you wanted to deposit funds? Or do you know yet?
The same.
Oh, that's right, you did. I do remember that. I sent that to my assistant Keely. We'll go through, and then probably about a week ahead of time, we'll send you wiring instructions, just to double check everything.
Okay.
And if there's anything in the meantime, just let me know, and I'll get electronic copies of the debt service schedules and everything to you as well.
Okay.
So, all right.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Have a safe trip.
All right, thank you.
I know, I was gonna introduce myself. Put her back.
And you are?
You tell me later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right. Discuss possible action to adopt a budget. Mr. Hines.
Okay, so we only had a couple of changes from the last time we presented it to you on 199. For the track, we're not going to, we only paid them 22,000 so far out of the 522,000, but it's not going to go into the 199 budget since it's now going to end up being in the same year that we receive the bond funds. We're not going to actually have to reimburse ourselves. We're just going to directly pay out a bond, so it's going to go into 699. So as soon as we receive the bond money, we'll start, we'll set up a 699 account. So that didn't actually change anything. At first I put it in there, I don't know. If anyone logged in at one point, there was 500,000 additional on the budget. And then I realized, no, wait, it's going to be directly paid out of the bond. It goes into 699. So I uploaded new ones without the 500,000 in. We did put the increase of the bus from 130 to 142. And then the other big change is we have an IRS penalty. So back when we, on the previous superintendent, the package that we did to pay him off, our software could not handle that to do the W-2. So we contacted the lawyers at the time, say, hey, how do we do the W-2? Or do we have to do a W-2? Because his people were saying, no, we don't. Our lawyer said, yes, you do. And so we had to manually do the W-2s, which we never do. We always just electronically file the W-2s. So when we filed the W-2s, this is in 2022, I think. When we filed the W-2s, we filed them on a two-part form. And the IRS, when you send in paper copies, requires it on a three-part form. So when they sent us a letter saying, hey, you filed this on the wrong form, we immediately sent it back and put it on the right form. Didn't hear anything else until just recently we got a letter from the IRS saying you have a $24,000 fine for filing it on the wrong form. So we reached out to Walsh Gallegos and said, hey, can we do anything about this? And the Walsh Gallegos attorney said, yeah, we get these dismissed all the time. It won't be I mean, she said she was 100% successful in getting this dismissed. So she goes, it's not a big deal. We just need to do the response letter. She's gonna give us the response letter tomorrow, I believe. We'll send it in. She did say it's gonna take a year for them to decide that, yes, you don't owe this. So I've put it in next year's budget just in case they decide, nope, you do owe it. But I don't think we're gonna end up using it, but we put it in the budget just in case. That's the only additional item that I've added to the 199. On the, I really didn't talk about the 240 or the 599 budget last time. On the 240, once again, I think everybody here has gone through this before. 240 is just a guess because we don't know how many kids are going to eat. So it's just a guess. I will say this year it looks like we're going to be 75,000 in the hole in child nutrition. You know, we went from the year preceding where the state was paying for everybody to eat to, so a lot more kids were eating, but we just, they don't pay for all the meals now, and so we're back to being in the hole on child nutrition each year. We did have a little bit of a fund balance going into it, so it won't be a full 75,000 by the time the auditor moves the funds around, but it'll be somewhere around there minus the fund balance. And then the 599, we just have to, we did in it, let me pull that up. Maybe, laptop isn't like me right now. On 599, there does show a little bit of a fund balance because at the rate that we're gonna ask you to pass, there'll be. Actually, it showed a little bit of a deficit, but we actually think now with the numbers we got today, we actually think there's going to be a little bit of a surplus by the time it's all said and done. But it'll be approximately around what we need to pay off our bond payments. So, any questions on the proposed budgets?
Letter gonna cost us 24 grand?
I'm sorry, what?
I said, is the letter gonna cost us 24 grand?
I bet it'll cost us $2. But actually, I don't know. I don't know how much they charge.
They do good.
They do. Any other questions?
Okay, do I have a recommendation?
I move to approve the budget for the 2024-2025 fiscal year as presented.
Okay, I have a motion by Doug, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mike, all in favor? All in favor, none opposed, motion carries. All right. Discuss possible action on budget amendments.
Okay, so I'll start with the 240 budget amendment. This is just the August accruals. Every year we have to go and the amount of money that we pay the people who are working in August, but it actually comes out of the next year. You have to do August accruals, so it gets expensed into this year. So this just cleans up, because of the August accruals, we were a little over budget in 240. And then if we switch over to 199, those first several entries on that are the same thing. August accruals, I'm just moving money around just to cover the overages from the accruals. Then there's 2 entries at the bottom of that where our athletic director has requested some football helmets, and Mr. Garrison can tell you about that.
Yes, so right now, we don't have enough helmets for all our junior high kids, because 2 of them have bigger heads, so they're wearing varsity helmets, and so they're a different color, they're black. So I visited with Coach Sleeve, and like everything else in the world, helmets have gone up, and what this would allow us to do would be able, if we have a junior high kid that have bigger heads, that would allow them to look the same. All our players would look the same in all programs, whether it's junior high to high school. It's a nicer helmet, a little more safe, and so this would just allow us to buy helmets so that they match throughout all the teams, and so it's about $395 a helmet and about $15 to paint it, and he would like 40 helmets. And then, in the future, this would allow us, he would like to do it in phases, so that way we're not hit with one expense all at once with the helmets, because you gotta replace, I don't remember, you gotta get them reconditioned every year. You gotta replace them every so many years. And so, this would allow us to start replacing them in phases.
Any questions?
You said junior high now? All-
Yes, they'll be, because he said, like he said, you know, you can put a junior high kid in a varsity helmet.
Right.
And so this would give them all the same helmet. They'll be the Rydell Speed Flex. And so,
Any other questions? A motion to approve the budget amendments.
I move to approve the budget amendments as presented.
Motion by Doug, do we have a second? By Rusty, all in favor? All in favor, none opposed, motion carries. All right. Let's discuss the 2024-25 tax rate. Mr. Hunt.
Okay, if you look on the ordinance there's some confusing wording on it. This is the legislative required wording, especially okay, so on the ordinance there, this is the same as we talked about at the meeting at the 1st of August, that we're gonna set a 1.2127 tax rate. 0.7478 for M&O is the, after our compression, we get our compression rate, we get our tax values on July 21st, we put them in a form at TEA, they say, here's what your compression rate is. Then we get 11.89 of pennies, those are the golden pennies and the copper pennies that you hear about when you go to the finance workshop, so we get 11.89. Those get added on to our compression rate, and that gives us the 0.7478. And then the 0.4649 is is what our financial advisor has advised us to set for the INS rate. That will cover the bond payment. We believe it'll be a little more, and it will be able to come down a little bit next year, but he recommends that we go ahead and do 0.4649 this year. Then the wording on this ordinance is the tax rate will raise more taxes for maintenance and operations than last year's tax rate. The reason you have to put that is because the values went up. And so we actually, even though we got compression from the state, so our M&O tax rate actually went down, we're still actually going to raise in pure dollars a little bit more. It's not a ton more, but a little bit more in M&O. So you have to have that first line on there. And then the second line is really confusing. The tax rate will effectively be raised by 19.96%. So that's the total of the M&O and the INS. So it's that high because we're going up, 20-some cents on INS. So that's why it's 19.96. And we'll raise taxes for maintenance and operations on $100,000 homes by approximately a negative $1,670. Because by statute, the second part of the sentence only looks at M&O, and you just take 100,000 times this year's M&O rate and 100,000 times last year's M&O rate, and what's the difference? The difference is negative $1,670. So if you have a $100,000 house, if you have a $200,000 house, because you get $100,000 of the exemption, the homestead exemption, then you'll actually save $1,670 in M&O taxes this year because the M&O tax rate is lower. So it's kind of a confusing ordinance, but it's what's required by statute. So this is our recommendation of the tax rate to set for both M&O and INS. Any questions?
Okay. Do I have a motion?
I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of the tax rate of the 1.2127, which is effectively at 19.96% increase in the tax rate.
A motion by Doug, do I have a second? Second by Rusty, all in favor? All in favor, none opposed, motion carries.
And I will say, obviously, the motion language came from the lawyers.
Hey, real quick, on the state, as far as the values and what they're gonna do,
Yes,
do we know about when we're gonna hear about that, or
no.
just when they do it?
So for this preceding year, we haven't got the final determination, but we're still gonna be on state values, and then we won't learn again for this year until, oh gosh, the property value study is in January, and then the local appraisers, it's somewhere around February, March is when we actually learn that.
Okay.
I don't know the exact time frame, but, because I know by May is our deadline to submit our, where we appeal it. So it's somewhere between January and May when we'll find that out. I would guess heavily that we'll be on state values again for another year.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Mr. Garrison.
Yes, sir. This is just reviewing the student handbook. There's no action needed. There wasn't any major changes. Basically, all we changed in the handbook was contact information. And so there was the previous year, there's a few things with the opioid stuff and all that. But this year, there wasn't anything major. And so, anybody have any questions on that? That's all.
Nothing on the, same on the employee? No
On
changes?
the employee
Oh,
handbook,
I'm sorry.
there was very few changes. We had to make a statement that the employees, it's their responsibility to check the accuracy of their pay statements. And we had to add nicotine along with tobacco products and e-cigarettes. We had to add that in there, include nicotine patches. And then we had to update we had to bring in policy DF for harassment of students because it talks about termination of employees for certain offenses against students. But those were really the only changes.
Okay. Do you have any questions? All right. Mrs. Searles isn't here.
No, and I'll just talk briefly. She was gonna do a presentation on the accountability ratings, but they're not released yet because there's another lawsuit, and so that's why there's no report on that. So as soon as we get them, we'll report back to you on that. But right now, there's a hold on that, so that's where we're sitting.
Okay. All right, Ms. Kirksey.
The monthly financials is the budget that we presented earlier.
Pretty easy. All right, Mr. Hunt.
I just have a couple things. As you can see, the track has now had the asphalt laid, and so we have to let it sit and cure for, they told me 5 weeks originally. And then I do finally have the decals for the little white buses, the prison-looking buses that we have. So if you want to see what they're going to look like, I have those with me here. I don't have any.
They are pretty rough.
They look pretty bad right now, but so that's all I have for you today.
Yeah, okay, I found it. Okay, I've got a few things. Enrollment numbers are looking strong. We're up overall from where we ended last year, which is outstanding because there's not a lot of schools around us. And really in the Panhandle can probably say that. So we're very happy with those numbers. I did schedule our ISO training on October 9th at 6 p.m. If all of us are here, then it's a 3-hour training, but we'll get team of 8 credit, and so we'll get 6 hours for that. So can anybody have a problem with October 9th? Okay. I'll let Mr. Seidler know.
6 o'clock.
Yes, sir. And we'll have some type of food that night as well, and so. And then don't forget the board safety training. And then the employee meet and greet will be September 6th. I was thinking 5:30. Is that a problem with anybody on that Friday? Since it's our first home game. And then what about food? I thought about doing like a tailgate and doing like burgers and hot dogs, and then, because we invite all the new employees and their families, so does anybody have any other ideas, or? Okay,
What time did you say?
5:30 on the 6th.
We need to be here early as hell.
Yes, if you don't mind, I'll take as much help as I can get cooking and all that type of stuff. We'll get all the food and all that, if y'all don't mind showing up, helping us with that, so.
The safety training, got the one online?
Yes, sir. I send a link, I can send it again if you need me to. Okay.
Denied.
Oh, it denied it?
Yeah.
Cybersecurity?
No, it was a board safety training. It's another link I sent out.
That was probably, I clicked on it and like it said it wasn't available.
Okay, let me check on that. Okay. And then, the junior high, and it's really, we're not sponsoring it or anything like that, but, they're looking at doing a school trip, like we've done them years ago. We used to do them in the high school where you have some sponsors of the trip, and they're, gonna go to DC. I think it's about 2 years out before they do it. They do a bunch of fundraising and that type of deal, but I wanted just to present it to you so that way y'all knew what was going on. I believe it's in June of 2026, and so kind of has the itinerary of everything they would do, and so really there's no action or anything we've got to do on that, because like I said, it's not school sponsored, but it'll be some of our staff that ends up taking them on the trip. They've been doing these for years, we just haven't done one in a while. And that is all I have.
Okay. And our board meeting is set for the 11th at 6 p.m. Anybody have anything else? Okay. Make a motion to adjourn at 6:38, or second?
Second.
Second by Chad, all in favor? All in favor, none opposed.